What's up, Ramblers? Before we start, make sure you hit that subscribe button for this daily podcast to never miss an episode. And follow us on YouTube at Assistance HQ for all the latest content and behind the scenes on the Ramblings. It's a whole lot of assistance going on. And now, a moment from our sponsor. What's going on, Ramblers? Good afternoon, good evening. That's the sound of my wine pouring. I don't know if you guys heard that or if it's just a long pause. Either way, we're finally getting a chance to record before even 8 o'clock. I know it's a completely different time that we're recording than the other time slots that I've been recording at, like around 9:30, 10 o'clock. You can hear it in my voice where I'm much more lethargic and tired. As of right now, I am comfortable. I've been getting work done all day, and we're back to a regular Monday schedule. I was able to get up. We had our live at 8:45 as we do every morning, so such. And don't forget to follow us and visit us on the web at svaofamerica.com, where we have all of your assistance and everything. Things have just been going so well. So I am happy with today. Actually, but I'm enjoying this glass of wine as such. Getting into today's podcast. Absolutely wonderful. We had some great news today, guys, actually. As I know, I say we because I always like to include you guys as my family for the people listening to the podcast. My mom actually had the opportunity to check out my podcast. And I say actually had the opportunity. It just means she got around to listening to it. We're in the age where it's not like getting around really or anything. It's just whenever I do it is when I do it. There was no rush, but she called me this morning and she's like, hey, I just had the opportunity to listen to your podcast and you don't sound like a Bobo. And I was like, well, I don't think I'm a Bobo. I hope I'm not. My clients think I'm pretty articulate and smart and have a pretty good understanding of things. So I hope I don't sound like a Bobo. She's like, yeah, I can't believe that's my son. I almost forgot it was you. I was like, thank you. I'll take that. I'll take the compliment, So I'm excited. I'm happy that she enjoyed it. That's why, I also really kind of made it so she could listen to it. It's not like my live where it's a little bit more raunchy. It's a much more, explicit in terms of word vocabulary and choice and everything. So this really gives me an opportunity to reach a different type of audience, a different feel of people, and do things just differently. So I'm extremely excited and proud of the podcast, how it's grown, how everything's been coming along with the social media in general. I actually not too long ago posted a spreadsheet tutorial on YouTube. So I'm actually going to be getting that video. It's only like 15 minutes on like Facebook and everything, because it's really just about inventory, So as I said, I'm flipping these cards and everything, which I'm excited that I've made some progress. I've got everything in order, organized, and I'm in the process of getting it and finishing up, getting everything cataloged and, just spreadsheeted out. And then I'm going to take the pictures and then post them on the internet. So we're really making some progress on that. Things are going pretty well. So the spreadsheet was setting up, how I set up my spreadsheet for the business. So it included things like it was an inventory spreadsheet, so it included things like the cost of it, cost to buy it. I call it COGS, or cost of goods sold, profit, revenue. I explained the difference between the profit and the revenue, what made that difference, and anything that was relevant in that particular situation. The functions and the formulas were the most important aspect of it. So I really am upgrading the content and value that I'm trying to do with you guys. I've spent all day making content today. Like literally all I did today, primarily other than, do cataloging and things for flipping, is make content. And that's always a slow day for me because it feels like, dang, there's so much day and not a lot of work feels like it was done. However, it's a lot of work that was kind of done because I need that content. I'm a solopreneur. No one else is making my content. So spending a good day of time just having the content. I have 20 pieces of standalone content. not counting per platform. So if you were to take all of the content, one per platform, not counting duplicates like if I posted on Twitter or Facebook. So if I only posted on Facebook and I posted on Twitter, I'm going to count whatever that one picture is as a one piece of content, where in reality it's two pieces of content because it's one for Facebook, one for Twitter. So that's two pieces of content because I'm going to contextualize them. So I'm probably going to say and use a little bit different language. So I have two different contents, if you will, because if I were to take a single follower and that follower seeing, a post of mine on Twitter, and then they seen that same post on Facebook, it's not going to read the same. It may not even be the exact same picture, but it's going to have a similar message, but that content might work better for other people. So if you have a slot of 10 fans and they follow you across all your social medias, they're more apt to engage with whatever suits their preferences versus being forced to engage with whatever you put out. So if you contextualize your content so that your audience is able to, engage with it better, that's what you should do. And those are going to count as two pieces of content. So while I have a picture that I intend for Facebook, the message behind that picture I'm going to then put on Twitter, change the narrative just slightly so that it appeals to the Twitter audience more, and make it a different piece of content. But outside of that, for just the singular posts, I have 20 pieces of new content today. Oh, this thing's a little hurt. There we go. So it was a productive day, to say nonetheless. So it's more or less about what you're getting done and the importance of it. This is important because now at least I know that tomorrow, even if I choose to make content, or I don't have to if I don't want to, I know that I have content that I can go off of. I can create a podcast off of it. I can post it. Like, I just made something. I'm not going to give you guys much details on it because I want it to be a surprise, but it's about going virtual. So that's going to be a huge thing. I've thought about making it maybe like a campaign-ish style thing. Like, I do a whole thing about learning how to take your business, your side hustle, whatever it is that you're doing, virtual. So I've really thought about that, because being a virtual assistant and realizing, okay, we are moving into a new age of work because of this coronavirus and everything. When we go back, things are going to be completely different. Things are not going to be the same. Oh, you remember when you said I couldn't work from home, and all of a sudden you wanted to make sure your doors stayed open, so you allowed me to work from home? Turns out it's true. So things are going to be so different after coronavirus is over and dealt with. So I'm trying to prepare myself for that time right there, which is the adjustment of the work environment. People can work from home, work remotely, work on the go, may not even need to work as many days. Hours might be cut, proficiency, like expectations might be lifted. So if you cut hours to, if you expect people to work 5-hour days instead of 8-hour days, companies are probably going to expect you to complete 8 hours worth of work in that 5 hours worth of time and not have you idling, because you can see it. And if you were to take a survey of a lot of people that are working from home that are even extremely busy, most of that time probably isn't coming from doing a lot of like work. It's coming from the balancing of work and home at the exact same time. We're used to, okay, I have 8 hours of work and then I have to go home and deal with 8 hours or whatever, however many hours you have to deal with your kids or whatever responsibilities you have outside of work. However, while you're at work, you only have to focus on these particular responsibilities because you are in that environment. When you're working from home and you have your kids home and they're yelling in the next room about something that has nothing to do with you, but you have to be the peacemaker on it, and you are on a Zoom call, now the friction, the tension, the frustration starts to settle in. So we're going to have a completely different work environment when we get back from coronavirus. So that's what I'm prepping for. Being able to take your business, your career, your job, whatever it is that you do, make it virtual. The ability to make it virtual. Now, everything can't be virtual. You can't be a virtual doctor. To an extent, you can. However, you really need to be in. So it's not everything, but it's for the majority. And even if you are a doctor, how can you make your life more virtual? That would be what it's really about, and what I'm trying to teach and bring to light. Because as a virtual assistant, there's so many different, like, if you wanted to work virtually and you just didn't have, say, tech savvy knowledge, you could hire a virtual assistant and then go from there. Because, and as a virtual assistant, that's what I'm really trying to promote. So that's what I have in store and planned for the future, because it's where I see the trend taking us. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But as of right now, I see that the climate of the work environment is going to change, because we now are able, we have seen things that we did not expect to see, or people are able to maneuver and make certain things happen that they did not think they would be able to make happen. So it's just a lot going on. It's a new week. We're in the beginning of May. So this is the first week of May. I'm getting a lot of my ideas rolling. We're close to June, 6 months, halfway through the year, very close to halfway through the year. So I'm really trying to ramp up what I'm doing, because who knows what can happen. I had specific goals for the year, and now I'm trying to make sure that I'm able to make these goals. Just ramping it up, making sure that I make it happen. And that's, let me extrapolate on that. Making it happen by any means necessary. You know, whether it be your happiness, and don't get that confused. You know, it's not about the money. It's making whatever you want happen by any means when it comes to your happiness, your mental health, your finances, your living situation, your environment that you're living in. You know, everything around you revolves around you in the most humble way possible. Everything about you and your life revolves around you. Not the world. Your life revolves around you. So when you have a wife, that is your wife. That's no one else's wife. It is your job to cater, take care of, and provide for your wife. No one else's job is for that. That's in your world. That is your responsibility. That is for you to take care of. If you have children, that is your responsibility to make sure they're fed, clothed, home, taken care of, healthy, all of that. It is your responsibility that when you have a house, to pay the taxes, make sure it's well upkept, make sure that you're making sure it's being fixed and everything. You and your life revolve around you and your decisions. So if you're in a particular state, not a place, a particular state, meaning a point in time, if you're in a particular state in which you are unhappy with the outcome, with the results, you have to think about what went in, the problem. What actions did you take to put you in this situation? You have to learn accountability and responsibility for yourself. Because without that, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not. Oh my gosh. Whew. You're not gonna go anywhere without accountability and responsibility. Because when you are accountable for yourself, people understand that and see you as a leader, someone that can own up to their mistakes, someone that not only owns up to their mistakes, lets people know. Because it's one thing to own up to your mistakes. It's another thing to let other people recognize that you made a mistake. Hey, I made a mistake, and then you fix it. Being accountable is saying, hey, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. Being responsible is saying, hey, I made a mistake, and then doing something about it to fix it, resolve it, or whatever. So when I say you have to make things happen, you have to make it happen at any expense, at any cost, obviously without doing something illegal or putting yourself in harm's way or danger. However, you have to make sacrifices in order to get where you want by anything's necessary. And in yesterday's podcast, we discussed talking on. In yesterday's I completely lost your thought. I'm terribly sorry. In yesterday's podcast, we talked about what are you willing to do to achieve your dreams. So I'm going to ask you today, what are you willing to do to achieve your dreams? Are you going to make it happen? Are you going to, it's about just doing it, because you can plan, make a strategy, you can come up with all the research, but if you don't actively put that information that you have and apply it, it is worthless. If you went and researched how to start a business because you want to start a business, and it tells you these are the 10 steps to starting a business because you want to start your business, and you take none of those steps, how valuable was that information? What value did it contain to you? It satisfied your need to knowing how to start a business, but it didn't satisfy your need in wanting to own one or start one because you did not implement that knowledge. So the implementation of what you learn or what you're trying to do is the most important part. You have to just do it. Now, there are steps to doing anything, and that's why we talk about making things happen by any means necessary. If you take the one of a UFC heavyweight, I don't know if you know if he's a heavyweight, but I know he's a UFC fighter. And right now I'm blanking on his name, but I talk, and I'm not going to talk around it. I'm blanking on this UFC fighter's name. Anyway, the story goes like this. The guy was sitting at home, not a lot of money in his pocket, regular, degular, smegular life, super regular, degular. He was watching TV, UFC, and said, I can do that. Now, I don't know if you guys know anything about UFC, but UFC is a sport in which two people beat the mess out of each other in front of a large audience. It's almost like boxing, but with less limits. Yeah, UFC is like boxing, but with less limits and no gloves. So now that you know what UFC is, it's fighting. This man was watching TV, someone got beat up, or someone did the beating up, and he looked at the TV and said, you know what? I can do that. So I'm going to do it. So he went, he trained, he went hard and won. Now he's a UFC champion. See, what I mean in that story is you have to want what you want bad enough that nothing is going to stop you. You're going to take hits. You're going to struggle. You're going to have obstacles that you didn't come up with, that you wouldn't have never faced without doing whatever it is you're doing. And that is going to be one of the hardest obstacles to overcome. An obstacle that would never be in your way unless you made this decision. And for example, we're going to pick this. You are trying to start a business, and you know an X amount of dollars needs to be put into your business in order to be funded. However, you're still starting small and you're still working your other job. You're tight on bills. Things need to get paid. You don't have a lot of money for expenses. You barely have any money for yourself. So do you take that little small extra bit of money you have and say, you know what, I've been hustling hard, I deserve to go to the movies today? Or do you take that small little bit of extra money and put it to the side and keep putting it to the side so that when an opportunity comes within your business, for example, a networking event or a networking meeting or a conference or a new product or software, or just being able to go meet somebody, and you were invited to an event and there are going to be plenty of opportunities to pitch your idea to people. It may not be a networking event, but you might be in a room full of people that networking is a huge opportunity. So you want to be prepared for those events. You want to be prepared for your business. So which do you do? Do you say, you know what, I can take the spa day. I can take today to get my nails done. I can take today to not put aside for my business? Or do you have the discipline to say, you know what, this is what I want and I want to make this happen so bad, I'm not going to go get my nails done today. I'm not going to go get this wig. I'm not going to go get this video game. I'm not going to go get this new toy or whatever it is that you like to spend your money on, and then convert that or allocate that to your business, to your side hustle, to whatever it is that you're trying to make. I almost wanted to name this episode Nike, but I feel like it would be infringement, because if you take nothing else from this, I want you guys to know to just do it. And I hope I don't get enough plays for that, so they shouldn't hear it. Like, I want you guys to know that if you take nothing else, just do it. Make it happen by any means possible. There's steps. Take those steps, write them out, and then understand that there's going to be obstacles even hitting each step. If you wanted to be a ballerina, and you know that you have to go to the dance studio for 4 hours a day, make sure you're eating right, make sure you're doing your practices at home. So not only are you in the studio for 3 hours a day practicing, you're eating right, you're exercising, you're going home and making sure you're practicing. So you're probably practicing for 7-8 hours a day. That's a full work shift. Think about it. If you are up at 6 o'clock, do a small workout, eat and everything, and then work from 8 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And then you have your day in the middle where you're doing whatever. Then around 6 o'clock, from 6 to 10, or even 4 to 8, you're doing more ballet. And then you're chilling for 15 minutes and going to sleep so you can make sure you're up at 5-6 o'clock in the morning to go back and do it again the very next day. You have to have that same kind of dedication and hustle. And this is where I'm going to give sports players their high praise. You have to have the work ethic of a professional athlete. And the reason I say you have to have the work ethic of a professional athlete is because their work ethic is visible. You can physically see the results of what goes in. You can see who's practicing and who's not. You can see who's putting the time in and who's not. You can't necessarily say that for business because everyone's idea of success is different. People like to use the barometer of money to say, oh, well, you're doing good, you're not doing good. That person may only want $100,000 a year. You don't need 200, 300,000 because at that point, running a $200,000 business is not what they want. It's too consuming for them, and they're fine with just $100,000, 75 or 50K, and then having the freedom and time to do what they want because they don't have to worry about all of this other stuff. So it's much harder to see the fruits of your labor when you're in business. So the reason I say you have to have a work ethic like a sports athlete is because you can physically see the work that they're doing. One, it's usually on social media, whether they're working out on social media, posting their workouts, posting what it is that they did today, just letting people know that they went to the gym, they have a game, preparing mentally. You can see that. You also know that sports people have practices. They get interviewed after. You're able to track. We know that Allen Iverson wasn't going to practice, and now he's not even in the league anymore. They didn't give him an opportunity to come back to the league because he had an attitude problem and wasn't showing up to practice. You can see it in their performance. Like James Harden, every year James Harden comes with a brand new move that surprises us. That's new. That's technical. That's evolved. That's his own. He's taken a move like the step back and made it his own. That is what practice is. You don't just, so you know what, let me do this step back that looks like a travel and then go through the technicalities of it so when someone else calls it a travel, I can show them that it's not. That is practice, skill, knowledge, combining into one so you can see the fruits. When Kevin Durant wins a championship, when LeBron James is MVP and wins a championship, when Steph Curry is unathletic and can basically do everything an athletic person can do except dunk and win championships, now it's a different field. You can see what that person works on. Steph Curry makes game-winning threes in the finals like it's nothing, like it's practice, because he practices that much. He has that much experience and comfortability with what he's doing and that he can make it happen. He has that much confidence and that much trust in his ability to make it happen no matter what, that he takes those shots. So in your business, in your career, in whatever it is that you're doing, you have to be so confident, so trusting in yourself that you can get it done, that you can make it happen, because no one else is going to make it happen. No one can take responsibility for you and what you're doing. No one is giving you, free money. So you have to make it happen. And the only way to make it happen is to take a look at yourself and say, is this what I want? Is this what I want to happen? Like we talked about in the last podcast, procrastination is something that causes regret. You don't want to spend 10 years working for something that you never really liked. That wasn't for you. That was for somebody else. You have to, when I say things, you have to take it almost so literal, yet so figurative, because it's about you. When I say you have to make it happen, I literally mean you, yourself, must look internally, say, hey, I'm going to complete this goal. The next thing that happens after your brain and you think and you're going to say, you know what, this is the goal that I'm going to complete. This is what I want to achieve. Then you have to make it real. In order to make it happen, you have to do the steps. You have to do the process. You have to go through the corridor to success in order to achieve success. So if you don't go through that corridor, if you don't take the steps to make something happen, you're never going to make anything happen. So you're going to have a goal, have the steps or the process that it's going to take to reach that goal. Then you have to have the mental fortitude to get through each obstacle that is presented at every single goal. Every obstacle is going to have its own goals. I said that backwards. Every goal is going to have its own obstacles. So if your goal is to run a 500-meter dash, or better fact, if your goal is to run a marathon, right? Your goal is to run a marathon. How long can you run? Let's start right there. Your goal is to run a marathon. The marathon is, I have no idea how long it is. Let's call it 30 minutes because it's a great short number. You're going to run a marathon for 30 minutes. I'm sure the marathons are a lot longer than 30 minutes. However, most of y'all can't run for 5. So 30 minutes is a long enough time. If you are trying to run a 30-minute marathon and you can't run 5 minutes, the very first thing that should be on your agenda to running a marathon is, I need to be able to run for 5 minutes straight. And if you can't do that, and your first goal into running, and your ultimate goal of running a marathon is to run for 5 minutes, you're gonna have obstacles off rip. You're probably gonna have to start dieting, lose weight, start running more, exercising more, and that you haven't even thought. This is focusing on running 5 minutes. Focusing on 5 minutes, you have to eat better, run more, exercise more, and take stress off of your body. That's just step 1. Now you have to get to step 2 of time, 10 minutes. Now you're like, okay, I've eaten better. Now I have to maybe change up the diet just a little bit better. I can't, now it's, no cheat days. I might have to up my training. Okay, I was running for 5 minutes and now I have to run for 10 minutes. Or I might have been doing, if you're trying to be able to run for 5 minutes, you might have been doing, walk. Started with, I'm just going out every day and going for a walk to get my body used to that. Now you might say, I'm going out for a jog every single day. So there's going to be different obstacles and steps per goal or micro goal to the huge goals. So you have to make it happen. And that's why I say you have to really look inwards to see if that's what you want to happen, because your body will let you know if you don't want that to happen, because guess what? It won't. You won't do it. If you have a goal and your body doesn't really want to obtain that goal, guess what? It won't, because you're in control of you. So if you want to reach a goal, you have to go do it, but you have to want it. And if you don't want it, it's going to show in your fruits of labor. Hey Ramblers, before you go, make sure you're following us on social media at Assistance HQ across the board for all content and exclusives. And for an even more personal touch, subscribe to our weekly newsletter with the link in the description.